Welcome back to the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast. Today we have a very inspiring individual named Anthony Robles. If you don't know who that is already, you will after this episode. He was born with one leg but went on to become a three-time All-American NCAA wrestling champion. And that's not good enough. He's continuing to inspire. He's continuing to do things, breaking records, breaking Guinness records for pull-ups, inspirational, motivational speaking. He's got a feature film coming out with Dwayne Johnson called Unstoppable. Like, it's unbelievable the things this kid is doing, and he's so inspirational to me. I can't wait to talk to him. Let's get started. Anthony, welcome to the show, buddy.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to speak with you.
Man, it's an honor to have you on the show. So inspiring, man. Like everything that you've been through and then what you continue to do. I keep seeing you doing all these pull-up challenges now. Like you're breaking records, like Guinness's records on pull-ups, and then you're adding 40-pound packs and trying to break records doing that. It's crazy, man. Like you just don't stop. You're unstoppable, like your film.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Once I got done with my competition in wrestling, I felt like I needed some other goals to chase after. You know, I was kind of getting bored just doing the everyday weight training and just exercising. So, the pull-ups, it was just a great way for me to challenge myself mentally and physically to step it up a notch and go up another level. And I've really been enjoying it these past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, your story is super inspirational. And obviously that's the reason you're doing a film. I think it's no secret that $7 Productions, 101 Studios, Dwayne Johnson, obviously Danny Garcia, Hiram Garcia, is doing a great feature film on you called Unstoppable. What's unique about the connection between that and this podcast is I don't know if you know this, but 3 podcasts ago, I had Brad Slater on the podcast. Now, Brad Slater's a producer on that film. He is the agent, the WME agent of Dwayne Johnson. I don't know.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
I don't know if you know him or not. Yeah. So he represents Dwayne Johnson, and he's a partner at WME, William Morris Endeavor. Jesus, sorry. And he's a partner there, and then he's an agent, and he represents Dwayne Johnson. So of course, after I found out I had you on the show, or was having you on the show, I reached out to him. And it was by no correlation, like there was no connection at all between you coming on the show and him obviously being kind of a part of this big thing with $7 Productions. And he was so excited, man. And he was like, everybody's so excited, Dwayne Johnson and Danny and Hiram and the whole team is so excited to be doing this show or film, I guess, and to be covering your story. And it's, how does it feel to have a film made about your life, and then on top of that, having Dwayne Johnson do it, like, of all people?
Man, it honestly, it just feels like a dream for me. You know, I just remember getting into wrestling. I just developed a passion for it. I wanted to be the best at that sport. I wanted to be a national champion, and that's all I was focused on. And so to have this opportunity afterwards to have my life told on the big screen and people to really hear and see my story, it's crazy. But, for me, I just feel very blessed for the opportunity. And, I want to make sure that platform and that my story is told in a way that really helps to motivate people, because the way I see it, we all have to wrestle with something, right? We all have some challenges in life. Mine happen to be a physical one that everybody can see. But other people, sometimes it's mental things, whatever. So I just want my story on that big screen to be able to show people and motivate people that no matter what you wrestle in your life, you can overcome it. You just have to have the right mindset and just be willing to grind and fight through. And I mean, to have Dwayne Johnson and his team tell my story, it's just, I couldn't think of a better dream scenario right there. I'm looking forward to meeting him and his group. And I know COVID kind of put some delays on as far as the filming goes, but I just can't wait to get out there and get rolling. I know they want me doing a lot of the wrestling scenes, so I'm staying in shape and waiting for it, But I just really want to make sure that above everything else, the story is told in a way that inspires people. And I know Dwayne Johnson and $7, they're going to do just that. So it's just an honor to have my story told by them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that film, man. It's going to be incredible. And your story, I mean, everybody knows your story, but I want to mention one thing too. Speaking of my podcast, I had Phil Davis on my podcast. Obviously, you probably know who Phil Davis is, NCAA Division I All-American. I heard an interview with you, and you said something about when you first started wrestling, you didn't like it, or it didn't fit you, or for some reason. Is that true?
Well, when I first started wrestling, I loved it, but initially my initial reaction to wrestling, I was just like, it's not really for me. And the way that came about was I was actually big into football growing up. I played tackle football 6th grade up to 9th grade. We moved from California to Arizona right before my freshman year of high school started. I think it was like June or July. And so, I didn't know anybody. I wasn't enrolled in school just yet. And my cousin was actually a wrestler out here in Arizona. He was 3 years older than me. And so he's like, hey, just come to practice. You can lift weights while we're wrestling. They had a wrestling room connected to the weight room. And so, I'm in there, I'm lifting weights and everything. I remember watching the guys and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. They're doing the throws and their takedowns and stuff like that. That looks cool. But it didn't really, I don't know. It didn't really, interest me to try it out.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's cool to watch, but not really my thing. And so it was maybe like a week went by, and one day his coach just came up to me during the practice. He's like, hey, our lightweight needs someone to train with today. Do you want to try to wrestle? And I told him no. I was like, no, man, I'm okay. I just want to lift. And, so he takes off, he walks back to the group, and my cousin comes over. He's like, man, just try it one time. He's like, I think you're going to like it. Just give it a shot. If you don't like it, I'll never bring it up again. And so I walk out there. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm just thinking, football tackle. And I just remember going in there and literally just getting thrown around. Like I walked off. I was all bloody and scratched up. But just that interaction right there on the mat, man, it just it instantly developed my passion for the sport. I didn't know what it was at that moment, but I just felt like it was something that I could excel at. And it was finally something that I could show people what I was capable of, and it didn't have to be about me missing a leg.
Yeah, and I think that's incredible because you went on to be obviously a 3-time All-American, NCAA champion, and you had that same start that like Phil Davis had. He also didn't like his first session, and it was so. I think it's incredible that like both of y'all went on to such greatness in wrestling, and then you obviously with your situation is just very unique. And so inspirational, man. Like the more stuff that I looked up on you, man, it's super, super inspirational. I know a big influence is your mother, and I kind of want to talk about, so when you're accomplishing the things you're accomplishing, you accomplish everything there is to accomplish in wrestling at that level, and your mom was a big inspiration, a big help for you, a big support staff. What do you think it is that you did that made her the most proud? Like, when do you think her proudest moment was of you so far? And I say so far because you're tackling so many things every day. Who knows what you're going to do next?
Honestly, that's a great question. And honestly, I think it was after my very first wrestling match, my first official match, where, I went out there and I got beat. But I think, remember she told me, she's like, I'm just proud of you for trying. She's like, I'm so proud of you for going out there and trying. And because it was literally that first match, I remember running out there with the team, right? We're doing the warm-ups, and someone in the stands was laughing at me. Like they're cracking jokes, like really loud. And so like my mom, my mom's little. I think she's like 5'2". She's tiny. But she went up to this group of people that were laughing at me, and she actually scolded them right there on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And got in their face. And then she sat down and watched the rest of my match. But I just remember that, seeing that. And, after the match, I'm sitting there defeated because I got destroyed. I think I got like teched in the second or third period. But my mom was just telling me how proud of me she was for trying it. She's like, I'm so proud of you. You just need to stick with it. And so, yeah, the success came later, and I know she was proud of me for that. But I think just one, it was the initial, just that initial attempt in wrestling, but also just coming back after, that major defeat at the beginning, and just those people laughing at me because I never really had a huge support system as I went through wrestling. There were a lot of people who doubted me from other teams, a lot of people who, they were laughing in the stands and things like that. And so I think that's what made my mom the most proud, was that I stuck with it and I pushed through that stuff and then eventually got to the top. But, you have to be willing to suffer and, kind of push through that pain sometimes and, the doubt of other people. But in the end, that's what really makes it special and what makes it worth it. And that's what I found.
Yeah, that's awesome, man, to have that kind of support staff supporting you. And then you didn't start out so, like, you had a losing record in the beginning of high school. You had was like 5-8 or something, right?
Yeah, I lost a ton. I finished last place in my city tournament my first year as a freshman. And that was frustrating, because wrestling, it's a tough sport. You're putting a lot into practice. And, I just remember I was trying my best, but I wasn't really seeing the results I expected at the beginning. So it was very discouraging, but I just remember it was after my freshman year, finishing last place in the city tournament. It was like that night after the tournament. I remember I'm sitting in my room and I'm just basically I'm sulking. I'm just reflecting on the season, reflecting on the tournament, and kind of feeling sorry for myself. But I remember just being in my room, and at the beginning of the season, I actually had this bookshelf that was like right over my bed. And at the beginning of the season, I just remember looking at the bookshelf thinking that's where I'm putting all my trophies. All my medals, they're going there. And so, I'm sitting in this room, man, I'm just alone and looking at that bookshelf, and there wasn't a single trophy or a medal on it. And so, I just remember as I was staring at that, something just kind of switched in my mind. Like, I don't know if I just snapped or what it was, but I just remember thinking, I don't care how long it takes me, I'm going to be the best wrestler to ever come out of Arizona. I want to be a state champ. I want to be a national champ. I want to prove these people wrong. I'm going to show them. And, I wrote that down on a little sticky note, and I actually have that in my trophy case still. I wrote down my first goal of being a state champ. And that was kind of the turning point for me. I was like, I don't ever want to feel like this anymore. I don't ever want to feel like the last place kid from Mesa anymore. And all that. I want to prove people wrong and show to myself that, really you can do anything you set your mind to, and that was a turning point for me, and there was no going back.
Yeah. And then you went on to go 96-0 in your final year.
I did, yeah. So
that's a pretty decent improvement.
It was a great career in high school, man. I was blessed. My sophomore year, I finished 6th in the state, and then my senior year, I went undefeated both years. I was 96-0, 2-time high school state champ, and then I went on to become a high school national champion as well, because I didn't want to wrestle in college. So I wanted to kind of get my name out there to the colleges to start looking at me.
Yeah, well, I think you did that, definitely. And from what I read, you didn't get accepted into a couple colleges at first, correct?
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience for me. I didn't expect it because, I felt like I really had done a great job in high school of progressing, and I felt like I had the resume for it. A couple times state champ, high school national champ. I was an honor roll student as well. So I was really thinking that I was going to get the college wrestling scholarship offers, that colleges were going to be looking at me like crazy and trying to recruit me. But that wasn't the case. I got, honestly, there was only 2 schools that talked to me Division I. I remember reaching out to a bunch of schools. The majority of them, they just didn't even take the time to respond to me. But the few that did, they said that there were 2 issues with me. They said, number one, that you're too light. They said, you wrestled 112 pounds your senior year of high school. The lightest weight class in college is 125. You're giving up, 15 pounds, but then these guys are cutting weight. So you're probably a good 20, 30 pounds too small. And they said, on top of that, this is Division I wrestling. These are the best of the best wrestlers across the country, and you're missing your leg. We don't think you can compete at this level. They said, we don't think you're going to be successful here. Maybe look, at a smaller program, a smaller school, but, Division I, we don't think it's for you. So, that was discouraging. I felt like all the hard work and all the results that had come from that hard work, these coaches and these schools were just overlooking it. They were just focusing on my only challenge, what could hold me back. And so it was upsetting, but, in the end, I learned I had to swallow my pride. Sometimes the opportunity that you want isn't the opportunity that you get, but you still got to make the most of what the opportunity is, and that taught me that. That taught me, okay, I have another opportunity to walk on Arizona State, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I did that. I was a walk-on for my first 2 years at ASU.
Yeah. No, you did amazing. And I don't want to get too in details with your wrestling, because obviously everybody knows about your wrestling, and you got this film, and this film's going to tell your entire life story. Speaking of the film, are you allowed, because I know who's going to play you in the film, are you allowed to say who yet, or can we not say? Because I was told in a way to use it on the podcast, and it's okay, but I'm still kind of scared to say for sure. But he's a great actor.
Yeah, I wish I could officially say I'm not allowed to right now. I know there was some shift. Someone was announced a couple months, maybe, man, I think it was maybe a year back. But since Dwayne Johnson and his team got on board, there was actually some recasting done. So we have a new actor playing me. It hasn't officially been announced yet, but he's incredible. He's got some well-known films out there right now, and
he's an award winner.
New to wrestling. What's that?
He's an award winner.
He is an award winner, and that's all I can say right now. But what I can say, man, is he's going to do an incredible job.
Yeah,
it's just been so fun, working with him. Just basically, I mean, I'm learning so much with this whole movie process, so they're sending him out here to kind of hang out with me, get to know my mannerisms, the way I talk, the way I interact with people. And he's met my family, and he's also getting into wrestling. So, I mean, just to see, it's kind of scary, because he's kind of picking me up. And so certain times he'll like kind of show me things. It's like, man, I'm kind of feel like I'm like looking in a mirror right now. It's like that's me right there. So it's a crazy experience. But this actor, once his name comes out, he's a lot of people will know him, and he's going to do an incredible job. So I'm just honored to have him tell my story.
Yeah, he beat a who's who, man, to get that award. And it's crazy because like I feel like it's official, or it's sort of official, because I asked Brad Slater to like give me some insight for your podcast, and he shared it. I just didn't confirm if I can say it, so like I'm not gonna say anything. But anyway, it's awesome, man. He's a great actor, and he seems like a really, like you, he seems like a super positive person, and I think that's something I really am inspired by you, man. Of course, your wrestling credentials and things you've done, and you're challenging new heights all the time with your pull-ups and strength and conditioning, all this stuff. But man, I got to ask you, like, this positive attitude that you have, being born with one leg, having a rough childhood, and your mother standing by you and being such a supportive mother and stuff. How did you get so positive? Like I mean, I feel like that to me seems like the hardest thing. Because for me, it's like it's hard to stay positive sometimes, and you seem such a positive person, man. And like I want to know how you get yourself to that place.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, it started with my mom, because from day one I was born this way, and from day one she wanted to show me and put it in my head that I couldn't let this challenge become an excuse. There was just going to be something that I would have to learn to overcome every single day of my life in some way, shape, or form. There was going to be something that was going to pop up that was going to remind me of this challenge.
Yeah.
And so, she put it in my head, you can't let that become an excuse to break, to quit, to feel sorry for yourself. And I mean, it's a daily battle. I mean, there are some days where, I get discouraged, but, the way I see it, like the way I approach it in my mind, it's like my own mental wrestling match. It's like when I start kind of getting negative on myself and I start kind of dealing with these challenges, like, I can give in to that opponent, of being negative and giving up, or, I can just embrace that positivity, and let that overpower it. And so that's just how I see it. It's a day-to-day battle. It's a moment-by-moment battle. And it's hard, but when you kind of break it down like that, I think it makes it a little bit easier, like just focus on that moment you're in and figure out how you can get a positive outcome out of it. It's not about what you can't do. It's not about what's holding you back. It's about what you can do. It's about what you're capable of. And especially right now, with the world dealing with this whole, with the pandemic, I know a lot of people are struggling to stay positive. It's hard. I mean, people are losing jobs and they're losing loved ones, and it's terrible. But the way I see it is like, you still have to try to find a way to count the blessings in your life. Count those things that are going well, and look at those things and focus on those things. And that's what I do in my life. When I do have my down days, I try to count my blessings and focus on those things. And like I said, just take it moment by moment, because, we all struggle with that. I mean, it's easy to go negative. It's easy to get discouraged, but, the more you train your mind to do that, the more you train your mind to, seize it moment by moment and take that head on, the stronger you get, and the more it just becomes like second nature to you. And that's kind of in a way what's happened to me over time. But again, like I said, it's a moment by moment thing. You just got to seize the opportunity when it comes up to be positive. Don't go down the other route.
That's awesome, man. That's so good. That's awesome. It's so awesome. I love your positivity.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been a journey. My life it's taught me a lot. And it's crazy, because honestly, like, we talked about earlier, just the movie where I'm at now, I couldn't have imagined this back then, like back in my freshman year, finishing last place and all that. But it's like, and that just goes to show you the power of thinking positively, and moving forward and not just breaking down. It's like, if I would have quit that after that first, meet, that first year, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I just thank God and thank my mom for putting that positive mindset in my head, just trying to find the good things and, moving forward, because it's gotten where I am today.
Yeah. And yeah, it's awesome. And you're in a good place, I think, for sure. So obviously you have the book, and then I saw you on Jay Leno like 9 years ago, a clip from 9 years ago on Jay Leno. So your story was out there, but how did you find out that Dwayne Johnson and Seven Bucks Production was going to do a film and wanted to do a film with you? How did that come about?
It's been a long process, man, but definitely been worth it. I was actually getting offers to have my story be told on the big screen back in 2011 when I first won. There were movie companies calling literally that night after I won my championship to sign for my life rights. But after I got some representation with my agent, he was telling me, look, he's like, movies, they can be great. He's like, but you got to be careful with true stories because, the second you sign your life rights away, they can basically, change the story how they want to fit the screen. And so that was something that made me pretty nervous. Like I said, I wanted to really focus and stick to the integrity of the story of what it really stood for, which that was that motivation and, overcoming obstacles. So we took a longer route. What we ended up doing was we tried to draft a script ourselves, which took a while. So we raised money, came up with the script, self-funded that, thanks to some amazing donors. And then we started kind of shopping that around. And, it got to the point to where we were working with a production company for a little while, and they reached out to Dwayne Johnson and Seven Buck Productions. And he really took interest with the story, and they decided to jump on board. And so that was, let's see, total now I've been waiting about 9 years from when we first started to Dwayne Johnson jumping on board. But it was well worth the wait. To have him and his team on board and tell him my story, and like I said, we were able to control that integrity of the story. I'm really happy with how the script came out. I know they're making some little tweaks here and there, but nothing major. And so, that was something that was very important to me, because of my upbringing with my mom. I have 3 brothers, 1 sister. I wanted this story, this movie to be made in a way that it could make us all proud. It could be something to where, we look back years from now, our kids can look back and watch this, and it's something we're proud of. Not that we, have to look back and say, oh, I don't like that, or, they told it the wrong way, stuff like that, So that was important to me to keep the quality and integrity, and we did it. So.
Yeah, and being Dwayne Johnson, is he? Obviously you got to say this. Obviously he's doing your film, but first I want to say he kind of doesn't fail, so that's kind of a good thing. But is he an inspiration to you? Do you look at him as an inspiration, the way he inspires people and posts, and then also what other people like who else inspires you as a person that you look to?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely look up to Dwayne Johnson as a role model and someone who inspires me. And just his story, even before he got, into the motion pictures and things like that. Going from football into, the WWE and just making this career. He was just grinding. He was willing to grind and put it all together and push through, those challenging times. And that's why he's so successful today. So that's definitely something that inspires me. And so I'm always following his social media and the things he posts up, his workouts and, his quotes and things like that. And it's just such an honor to have him telling my story. And I can't wait to meet him in person. I'm looking forward to just be able to ask him some questions and just really learn from him. But other people that I really look up to as role models, one of them is Cael Sanderson.
Yeah.
And, for people who don't know, he's one of the greatest wrestlers in American history, the only wrestler to go undefeated all 4 years of college, which is incredible considering the competition you face in college. But, the reason why he's a role model to me is because, after my freshman year of high school, when I finished last place in the city tournament, we went to Vegas for a wrestling tournament. And that was when Cael was getting ready for, his Olympic run where he'd win the medal. And so, he's actually wrestling at this tournament. A bunch of guys are they're wrestling as well. And so I remember, I see him, he was jumping around. Obviously he was warming up for a match, but I was just thinking, man, this is my hero right there. Right. So I'm all excited. And I remember I run up to him with my wrestling poster. I'm like, can you sign this poster for me? And that's all I was looking for, right? Just the signature. But, not only did he take the time to sign that poster, I just remember, he was asking me questions about wrestling, how I got into it, how my season went, how that tournament went. And, I just remember walking away as like, man, this is what a true champion is. Not only is he great on the mat, but he's just humble off the mat. He's willing to give back to the sport and inspire others. And that was something that always stuck with me, that he's a well-rounded champion, someone that you can aspire to be like, as an athlete, out there on the mat, but also in life as well. And also another one is my mom. She had me when she was young. She was 16 when I was born.
Yeah.
She had no idea that I'd be born missing my leg. But, my mom, throughout my life, she's really someone who was both my mom and my dad, because my biological father wasn't in the picture. My stepdad was kind of in and out. And, so my mom, she was my mom, my dad, and really my number one fan, and she taught me to believe in myself and, to always push through, push through the pain, push through discomfort and never give up on those dreams. So, I wouldn't be here today without my mom and without her just motivating me like that, because she didn't have an opportunity to go to college, because I was born when she was 16. But down the road, when I was actually in college, she was working a full-time job. She was taking night classes at a local community college and just, stacking up credits. Fast forward to now, she's actually working at Arizona State. She has her bachelor's degree, her master's degree, and she's working on her PhD right now with ASU.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, she's the perfect example of what hard work does.
Yeah. It just runs in the family. And speaking of Kel and the wrestling, it sounds like a good hero of mine, Daniel Cormier, who you're probably familiar with. He's the same way. I mean, he's an outstanding wrestler, Olympic caliber wrestler, but just a champion at life, just a champion person. And that just means so much, And I think that's why you stand out so much, is because of who you are as a person, not just the situations of the things you've accomplished and what you've overcame and things like that. And I think that's a big attribute to have and a very, very hard one. And then going back to Dwayne Johnson and working out and training, I have to ask you, man, because you are crazy strong, dude. I do all, like through my whole career, I've done all self body weight stuff, like so much, like push-ups, pull-ups. I love moving my body weight around because in fighting, that's what we do. We move body weight, ourselves. And the stronger our grip, the stronger we are with our repetitions, how many times we can do pull-ups or push-ups and things like that. That helps so much in grappling and controlling other people. What do you do for strength and conditioning? And how do you get to a level of where you can do 62 pull-ups in 1 minute? That's like... that's more than a pull-up a second. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I was flying on that pull-up attempt, man. But, for me, I think one major thing that helped me out was I've been on crutches basically my whole life. Since I can remember. So, other kids were learning how to walk with 2 legs. I was hopping or crawling, and then I went to crutches. So I really think the crutches help develop my upper body. It's kind of make me strong because I'm moving around and I'm basically doing dips like all day long, just as I'm moving. So that definitely helped with my grip strength. But I love doing rock climbing. And I started kind of getting into that in high school. We had one of those horizontal rock climbing walls. So I would do that all the time, before or after practice, we'd rock climb. Another thing that I really like is just pull-ups. That's honestly one of my favorite workouts to do. And I think it goes back to, when I was a kid, I remember just watching Rocky, doing the pull-ups and like Mr. T, on the side of that beam. And so I was like, I just remember doing pull-ups as a kid. I like hang off of the stairway on the little rafter. I'd hold on to the side rail and just do pull-ups right there. And that's something that I've always been a fan of. And I think just really helped to develop my upper body strength. But to do the 62 rep record, the most pull-ups in 1 minute, I lost track how many pull-ups I was doing every day. It had to have been at least 200. And what I did was, I'm here in my home office, but I actually have one of those detachable pull-up bars.
Yeah.
And so, I'd set it up right there. And so every time, when I come upstairs for something, I would have to do minimum 40 pull-ups straight. I made it a rule for myself. So it's like every time I come upstairs during the day. And so, I hated it, but, little by little, I was able to get to the point where, I could do, 40 reps without stopping. And then I bumped it up to 50 reps without stopping. And, that got me ready for that most pull-ups in a minute record. So it's just something I like doing, man. I love just challenging my body. And I think that's something that wrestling taught me as well, is that, you focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses, and so, me getting into wrestling, I was going to be smaller. I was going to be missing a leg, sure. But, my upper body was going to be strong. My grip was going to be strong. And so I just learned to really start to capitalize on that and focus and build a style around that. To be successful. And that's what I try to do with my life as well. Find the things that I'm good at, that I'm strong at, and, just try to build and be successful with that.
I think you've just inspired everybody that has stairs in their house, that's like sitting downstairs watching TV, and they got to like get something from the bedroom, and they're like, oh, I got to go up the stairs. And then they're like, yeah, but I heard this podcast, and Anthony Robles does like 50 pull-ups every time he goes up the stairs. I can at least walk up the stairs because all you guys out there that have stairs, some of you haven't went upstairs and just said, forget whatever it is that you were going to do because you didn't want to walk up those stairs. And he does 50 pull-ups every time he goes up the stairs. So yeah, there you go. Good job for that. And where do you stand? Where do you stand on the 40-pound pack? So I'm watching this video, and I'm like, it's NFL. It's for the troops, the veterans, and such. And you were going to do the 40-pound thing, and I saw you do 38, and like got to the end of the video, and then like it just stopped, and I was just like, what happened? So like, I know you did 20-something the first time or one of the times, and then I saw you do 38, which was a record, was 38, and you did 38 or 39, and then it just stopped. It didn't say anything. So where do you stand on the 40-pound? And for everyone that's watching, it's you doing pull-ups in a minute, the max amount, with a 40-pound backpack on. And so where do you stand? Where do you stand on that record right now?
Well, the 40-pound one, actually, I fell short, I think, by 2 on the 40-pound record. And I was so frustrated because what ended up happening, in practice, I was training and, I can't remember exactly what they bumped it up by 6, basically what happened. So, I had a number in my head, like, okay, I got to beat this number to break the record. And so, I'm training, everything's going well. And literally the day before my attempt on NFL Network, my agent gets a call and they're like, hey, this guy from, I think it was Bulgaria.
Of course.
This guy from Bulgaria. Yeah, he broke the record, and they actually didn't get a chance to view all of his video evidence until, today. I'm like, well, what are the chances of that? So I was pretty upset because, I had a number that I had to beat, and they upped it by 6. So I ended up missing that record by, I think they said 2 reps, which was discouraging, but, I still hit my personal record. And, from there, I just decided now I want to go after another record. I'm not satisfied. So that's when I went after the most pull-ups with an 80-pound pack. I did that this last March at a NASCAR event. I believe I did 25 there. And so I do have that record now. So I'm happy with that one. I'm very satisfied with it. But I got more in my tank. I'm looking to the future now for some other records, actually.
Wow. That's so cool, man. I love that. I love the fact that you're always looking for things like that. Hey everybody, I want to take a second to thank our sponsor, aka Thailand, the world's premier luxury training resort for everybody. Everybody can come train with us. You can save 30% at the time of this taping. Not in the future. At the time of this taping, you can save 30% because of the quarantine and because the borders are shut. If you pre-book, you can save at akthailand.com. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@akthailand.com. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, because you don't know AK Thailand, which you should if you watch podcasts, here's a commercial.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, aka Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
Do you follow MMA? Like, do you follow the sport of MMA?
Oh, absolutely, man. I know a lot of my former teammates and former Sun Devils from Arizona State. They're in MMA and UFC, Bellator, all over the place. And so, I got a lot of good friends. Bubba Jenkins right now. I mean, Ryan Bader. A lot of guys I know. A lot of former wrestlers. I mean, the wrestling community is super tight. So I'm always staying up and watching the fights whenever I can.
Have you thought about training in BJJ or something like that with more some submission based wrestling?
Actually, I have, and believe it or not. some early on, I think I was like 10 years old when we were still living in California. I just remember, I was watching like the old UFC fights, like Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie and all that.
Yeah.
And so actually my dad enrolled me at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy out in California. And, Royce Gracie, that it was his family's academy. So, Rorion Gracie was the one that showed the kids the classes. So I was doing that for like a year, the gi jiu-jitsu. And that's something I really want to get back into now. I had so much fun doing it. And, I just feel like it would be so much fun to be able to integrate that with my wrestling background, get back on the mats again and kind of change it up and, challenge myself again. But definitely want to get back into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, you're so strong, bro. I would be terrified of you. Like that kind of strength that you have, like that grip strength that you possess, like that pull-up power. Because pull-ups is what made me so strong. And I don't look that strong, whatever. When I was fighting, I definitely didn't look that strong. But I was really strong compared to my opponents. And it was because I did a lot of pull-ups. Now, when I say a lot, you would laugh because I'm not doing like 60 pull-ups at a time or 60 pull-ups in a minute or anything. I'm doing like way less than that. But it made me so strong. So I can imagine you, like if you grabbed a hold of my neck, bro, I'd be just, you'd like break my neck, I think. Like, honestly, I think you just snap it. Like, probably with the 40-pound pack on your back. Like, and so like, that would probably be something you would enjoy, is being able to add some moves to your arsenal, I guess, for wrestling.
Honestly, man, yeah, I definitely want to get back into it. And I know like sometimes in the off season in college, I was kind of bouncing in and out of, local jiu-jitsu academies, just rolling around and having fun. And I think, like I said, I'm always looking for like just a new challenge, just a new way to test myself. And I was always having fun on the ground doing jiu-jitsu. So I think there's 2 more pull-up records I want to go after. And then once that's done, I'm looking for the next mountain. So, now that you brought it up, man, I think I might really take a serious look about get back into jiu-jitsu now. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, man. And then what is it that like you enjoy the most? So like you obviously wrestled and you're doing these challenges to win records or break records, I'm sorry. What is it that you enjoy the most where you see yourself in like 5 or 10 years? Like in 5 or 10 years and on, I guess, what would you ideally be doing? Like where would you be in your place, you think?
Well, I mean, honestly, right now, I feel like I'm blessed to be living my dream. My main career, I do motivational speaking. Yep. And so, I'm just traveling across the country speaking. I also do the wrestling commentating with ESPN and Pac-12. So I'm constantly around the sport that I love and just staying in it. And also, with everything going on with COVID right now, my speaking, I don't really have the opportunity like before right now, because we can't get in crowds and things like that. So I'm starting my own podcast. I'm launching that next month. But wow. I'd say in like 5 years, the only other thing that I really want to add on top, which would really just, put the icing on the cake for me, is I want to be a wrestling coach. And I really want to coach at the high school level because, my high school coaches were so impactful to me. I mean, they're like father figures. We still hang out to this day. We'll get together and barbecue and I'll ask them for advice and things like that. And so, they just taught me so much and I wouldn't be here today without their guidance. And so I would love to be able to do that to some other, young high school athletes, young wrestlers coming up, just giving them that guidance, be that positive role model, because I think that's what the world needs more of. I know it's what the world needs more of, is that positive, outlook on life and the positive role models and just being willing to give back. And I think that's something that we easily forget about sometimes. It's like, we want to reach our own goals and our own personal things, but we can't forget to help others out along the way. Yeah. Like I wouldn't be here today without people who helped me, who gave back. And so I want to remember that and do them honor. I want to honor them by giving back to others and helping out. So, that's the only thing I would like to add in the next 5 years is, be a high school wrestling coach. And also, obviously I want to get married and have some kids. And I know my girlfriend's ready for that too. So,
yeah, that's always fun. And what about so what kind of TV shows or films are you in? Are you into more like inspirational type stuff? Like are you one that likes to stay inspired, or is it more entertainment based? Like what is what is a TV show that you're watching now or a good film that you like?
I'm kind of a mixture. I'd say my all-time favorite film, I love Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That boxing movie. Yeah, it's an awesome movie, and I would watch that before certain wrestling matches, the big ones. But right now, I'd say things that I'm watching, especially with everything going on, I'm binging on things. Like I like the Ozarks.
Love it.
What else are we watching? Right?
Love the
Well,
I just
Ozarks
finished
is
season
awesome,
3.
man. What else am I watching
Hannibal
right
is
now?
sick. If you like people who eat people, it's kind of demented but clever at the same time.
What was that?
Hannibal on Netflix is pretty interesting, I guess you should say.
See, I keep seeing the little previews pop up for that. I need to check it out.
Man.
So I'm balancing like a bunch of shows. I'm watching like Vikings. I started that kind of late. That show Vikings, so I'm catching up on the seasons of that, and But yeah, I think it's a mixture for me. Movies that inspire and kind of motivate me. I like those. Obviously, like the movies that like Gladiator and Braveheart and the Rocky movies, things like that. Just like that physical, head to head, going out there and battling, just that mental toughness sort of thing. So it's a mixture for me. I'm all over the place, but really, I'm kind of a low key guy. So I like watching movies, I like kind of staying home, hanging out, playing my guitar, being in the backyard, barbecuing, being with my dog. So, I'll have to get some tips from you, some advice on some good shows you recommend.
Yeah, no, that's it, man. I'm always looking for stuff because I'm in Thailand, so I have Netflix and that's it. I don't have like 400 channels like you guys do in America. So it's like Netflix only. So I've seen like Ozark, I love. Hannibal, I love. You was good, and like some of those, and I love the documentaries. I love for me, like the reason I asked you this question was I love inspirational stuff, and I can take inspiration from anything. Like I can watch. I mean, as crazy as this sounds, like I could watch like a Taylor Swift concert or something, like something crazy like that. I'm just gonna be so embarrassed for saying later on, but like I can take inspiration from anything. Like that to me, like when people accomplish things and they're performing at the highest level, and they're, I've always been inspired by Eminem. I've walked out to Ambitions of a Writer for every one of my UFC fights, because that brought me back to the boxing gyms I trained at when I was in like, Houston, downtown, 1997, 1996. I was going to like multiple gyms for boxing and BJJ and kickboxing and things like that. And they were listening to all Tupac and rap and stuff like that. And Ambitions of a Writer was one of the songs I remembered the most. So for all my UFC fights, I walked out to that song to bring me back, because back when I was listening to that in Houston, I dreamed of one day being a fighter that like people knew. Like I just wanted to show up at a like decent level event of some type, and people would be like, wow, that guy fights in this event and he's good, something like that. That was my goal in fighting. And so like it brought me back to that place where, where I started kind of. And so I was wondering if you were the same way with inspiration and stuff like that, and taking from movies and music and things. But it's always been a huge thing for me. Like it's always definitely helped me like keep going and motivate me to see other people accomplish their goals and their dreams. Like you're a huge inspiration for me, man. Like, and the more research I do, the more inspired I get. It's just, I was so looking forward to this podcast.
It's an honor to be speaking with you, man. I definitely understand exactly what you're talking about. And you mentioned music. For me, my song was always Simple Man by Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
And, and it might sound kind of strange to people, but like honestly, like I had that in my headphones before every single match. Before I stepped on the mat, like I was 125. Usually I would kind of start later on when we were doing the dual meets, and so like I knew if I had 5 minutes, 10 minutes before I would wrestle. So before every single match, like 3 to 4 minutes before, I would pop my headphones on and listen to Leonard Skinner's "Simple Man." And, just those words just inspired me. And, it just reminded me, he's talking about, his mom, a mom is talking to her son,
Yep.
You can do this if you try all these things, these lessons. It got me emotional before my matches. I just remember like, I just kind of tear up sometimes, but I go out there and wrestle with my heart. So I know what you're talking about, just finding those things that inspire you to go to that next level, to elevate yourself. I'm all about it.
That's so crazy, man. Like, dude, we're so connected on so many different levels, man. It's so weird because, like, that's the same thing with me. I won't get in details. It's not my podcast, but I would also find things that made me emotional before fights, and I have literally fought tears back. I don't cry, man. I don't cry. I don't ever show emotion. I'm not like a crying type person. But I had things going up in my childhood and in my past and stuff. And I dig for those things before my competitions as well. And I fought tears back multiple times walking out and then getting vicious KO victories, and like where people would be like, wow, that guy's a savage, or he fights so aggressively, but they would have no idea that like I was fighting tears back, like in the bathroom stall for like 5 minutes before I walked out. And it's emotion's so strong. It's so powerful. And when you can use that to go out there, I mean, you can do things that are crazy. Like, I mean, for me, it was winning fights fast and landing big punches. But that was just like that emotional rage that I had. And so it's so cool hearing that you kind of did that same thing, man. That's so awesome. And I wanted to ask you too, being that I've never wrestled and I'm an MMA fighter, and obviously it's a little bit quite different. But what about nerves for you? Like when you were getting ready to go out there and compete, how did you deal with nerves, and were you nervous? Like, were you really nervous before certain matches?
Oh yeah, I know, especially at the beginning in college. Just going out there, I just put a lot of pressure on myself. Because I'm wrestling these big name schools with these crazy wrestling programs like the Iowas, like the Penn States, things like that. So I was wrestling not just the flesh and blood opponent, but the name on the singlet.
Right.
And sometimes I was kind of intimidated and make me nervous. And but I just remember the way I dealt with my nerves. I had a certain playlist that I would listen to, that would kind of like gradually build up. It's like mixture of like classic rock stuff to kind of keep me chill. Then I'd get into some more raps, kind of fire me up, and then finishing off with Leonard Skinner, obviously. But for me, I just learned that I needed to control those emotions and really control that adrenaline. I didn't want to get fired up too quick, because I felt like, okay, if I get all this adrenaline out now before I step on the mat, then I'm flat. And it's something I kind of figured out along the way, like, okay, I need to pace myself. Pace that energy, control it, harness it. And then, gradually release it as I'm getting closer, let that emotion flow through me, the tears, and I would kind of reflect on things like you said, I would dig into certain areas. Like, I think about, when I first started wrestling and the people in the stands laughing, I would think about other situations in my life growing up where, kids would say something, or, they'd stare at me as I was going through the grocery store, things like that, just to bring that emotion to me and just really use it. And that's something that, really helped me and kind of gave me that feel when I needed to, because I remember certain times in the wrestling room where, I'm just feeling kind of worn down, and, I feel like I want to, give up or take a break. And I just remember thinking, if I quit now, if I give in now, I'm proving those people right.
Right.
I'm proving all those people right who doubted me. And that's something that helped to fire me up, and then also on the other side, I felt like as I got later into my career and I matured more, I started getting these letters from one of them was from a group of third graders. It was after my junior season. They were writing me as their hero of the week. And so, I realized that, I was wrestling for more than just a medal, the more than just a trophy, that people were looking at me and my story as a source of motivation to overcome their challenges. And that gave me some positive fuel. I felt like they were kind of lifting me up on the shoulders. And so that's a great lesson. I feel like, people, we have a lot of positive things, but then there are some negative things. There are some challenges. But, if you can use both those things together, if you can harness that stuff, harness those experiences and just use that and channel it to something, to your goal setting, to going after those goals, it is a powerful tool. You can do things that you couldn't imagine. It can fire you up, and, you can just, keep that hunger, keep that drive going. And that's what I've been able to do. And it sounds like you've been able to do that too. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I love hearing you say that, man, because there's so many people out there that they have this, there's a lot of lower level, and I say this, but because they're more macho than proven, and there's a lot of lower level people that kind of like put this out there that they're not scared and nothing bothers me and I never get nervous, and I think that sends the wrong message to young people, because and then they get nervous, they get scared, and then that puts more fear in them, and they're like, wow, I could never be like Anthony Robles or these other people, because they're out there like champions and taking on the world, and I'm scared to death to go do this, this high school thing or this whatever it is. But it's like, it's so normal. It's so normal to be nervous. Absolutely. It's so normal to be scared. And I watched a podcast with Mike Tyson, and he said the same thing. Like he was scared. I mean, this is one of the most scariest guys ever in combat sports, and like he admits that he was scared before fights. And it's not scared that you're going to get hurt or something, but anytime you have something on the line and you're depending on yourself and people are depending on you and you could lose it, you're going to be nervous. And I think that's great to hear you say that, and for us to send that message to people that are out there that are trying to accomplish their goals as well. It's normal. I mean, it's part of the game. It sucks. For me, it sucked, and I'm sure it did for you, but that's the price. Like I always say, that's the price you pay to get those victories, is those nerves. Like when you wake up on fight day, or I guess wrestling day for you, and you feel those nerves and you have to dig through that and continue conversations and interviews and get out there and get in the locker room and get warmed up and walk out and keep your game plan. That's where you earn those victories, because that's the hard part. You know, it's not easy dealing with those nerves. That's for sure, for me at least, you know.
Absolutely, man. It's funny you bring it up too, because, you know, I just got back. I was doing a wrestling camp out in DC, and, you know, one of the parts of the camp is that, you know, they put up my national championship match up on the big screen so the kids can watch and I can talk them through, you know, my mindset during the match. And I remember telling the kids, like, look, you know, there was a part where, you know, there's 20,000 fans in the arena. I'm getting ready to run out for that final match, you know, for the championship match. I'm wrestling the returning national champion from Iowa. And, you know, I remember I'm running down the red carpet, and I told the kids, I was like, I'm going to pause the video right here. I was like, you guys might not know it. I was like, this might surprise you. I was like, but right here, this is the scariest I've ever been in my life. I said, like, so before, like, I did not want to run out on this red carpet. I remember they told me, the ESPN camera guy was right next to me, said, okay, you got to run. I didn't want to go. Yeah. I was like, you know, right before I ran out there, I was wiping tears from my eyes. I was so nervous because, like you said, I was like, I've been training for 9 years to get to that moment. You know, this is the pinnacle of you know, college wrestling. 9 years to having one opportunity to be a national champion. I didn't want to lose that. I was like, man, if I make one mistake, that's it. You know, if I do one thing wrong, I could lose this match. There goes my dream. And I told him, I was scared. I was like, but you know what? When I stepped on that mat, you know, when I stepped on the mat, I stepped on the line, and I'm looking my opponent in the eyes. I remember looking at him, and, you know, I didn't see him. What I saw was myself. Yes. And what I saw was, I was telling myself, you know what? I worked too hard to lose this. Yes, sir. I did everything that I could do. I did everything that I could do to be successful here tonight. No matter what the outcome is, no matter what happens, whether I win or lose, obviously I want to win, but no matter win or lose, I know I did everything I could to be successful, and I can be proud of that. You know, and then I was just thinking, like, you know, of all the challenges I've been through, this is just one more. You know, this is just one more thing. It's scary, but you know what? You know, you have to overcome that. You know, when you embrace that, you know, when you embrace those nerves and you fight through that, it just makes you stronger. You know, you just have to be able to manage that and harness it. But, you know, just have in the back of your mind, you know, I mean, I'm capable of this, you know, and that's something I always tell myself, you know, especially my senior year. That's where Unstoppable came from. That why we're calling the movie Unstoppable is, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, you might get knocked down sometimes. You might get nervous. You know, you might want to quit. But Unstoppable means you fight through that. You get back up. You don't give up. You know, and that's the key, is never giving up, just pushing forward with everything that you have. Pour your blood, sweat, and tears into it. And, you know, in the end, you can be proud of the results. You know, no matter what it is, you can be proud. No, I left it all on that mat. I left it all on the line. There's nothing else left. You know, there's nothing else left in the tank. And I'm at peace with that. You know, I think a lot of people can be at peace with that.
I agree with you 100%. And I've always said that it's about channeling. Like when people ask me the same thing about nerves, I've always said it's about channeling, because I'm just like what you said. I'm terrified sometimes and scared when I walk out there because of what I can lose in a matter of, because I know as I'm walking out, within 15 minutes, I'm going to have the best moment of my career or the worst. Like that's scary as shit when you think about it. And I've always said that it's how you channel it. You know, it's how you channel those nerves, because you're going to have them regardless. They're going to come. You're going to have that emotion. You're going to have those nerves. But if you can channel them, and like what you said, and you can get out there and you can look across at that opponent and blame him for those nerves, blame him for that feeling, blame him for all what you've went through to get there, and like all that pain that took to walk out there and all that stuff you've done, and know that if you allow him to beat you, it was for nothing, and you channel that those nerves and that emotion to beat him, to make it worth it, and to make all that pain, all that suffering, all that sacrifice worth it. That's how I've gotten through it. That's how I've been able to fight with that emotion. That, would you say that there's truth in that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's a great way to look at it as well. You know, you blame him, and I mean, you just really, like you said, you find a way to harness that energy, find a way to harness that emotion so that you can execute.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing, that the nerves, they paralyze you.
Yes.
Like you clam up, you don't want to lose something that you haven't gotten yet.
Yep.
Or I guess you don't want to lose that opportunity to get something, to be successful. And so when you clam up, when you let those nerves get to you, then you don't execute. And then that's where you lose. And so to be able to find a way to harness it, to give yourself the freedom to go out there and compete, to attack and execute, then that's how you become successful. And that's something I really like how you said that, blame him for it. And that's something that I kind of used as well, my senior year. The guy that, like I said, I was wrestling was the returning national champ. So, but at the beginning of my senior year, I actually cut out a newspaper article about him because they're talking about how he was looking to repeat. And I mean, he's a stud. I have a lot of respect for him, but I remember I cut that article out and his picture. I put that thing in the back of my locker. Yeah. So every single day I would go into practice, I would leave practice, and I would see him, and he would be looking at me. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm training to beat him. I'm training for this guy. This is why I'm doing, all these pull-ups. This is why I'm cutting weight. This is why I'm staying after practice. Why I'm going in early. Why I'm putting my body through all this pain for this guy, so I can be ready for this guy. So you have to be willing to, embrace that, find a way to harness it. And then when the time comes, you execute, and you have to overcome those nerves. You have to, that's one more challenge you have to overcome, but that's what makes it worth it. You pay that price. That's what makes it special, because if it's easy, if you're not nervous, if it's not hard, it means nothing, right? It's not special. It's like, when I look at my trophies, I'm blessed to have some trophies and some cool ones behind me. But, when I look at those things, I think about the wins, about the victories. But, what also stands in my mind is those times where, I was just suffering in practice, and I was frustrated when I was nervous, when I felt like the butterflies in my stomach before the matches, when I'm emotional and all those things. And that's what makes it special. It was that I had to climb to get it. I had to grind to get that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And like people don't understand that, like it's a roller coaster. The nerves, the sacrifice, the downside is what makes the upside so good. And it's like it's like, for instance, like the excitement of winning, that feeling when you win, that excitement, that adrenaline. That's because of how nervous you were and how much work you put into it. And when guys tell me I'm not nervous anymore, I just go out there, it's not a big deal for me. I'm like, how do you enjoy winning then? Like, how is winning fun if you didn't sacrifice to get there? And it's no different than skydiving. I'm a certified skydiver. It's the same thing. If I could jump out of a plane and land on the ground without a parachute and just walk back to my car, it wouldn't be exciting at all. There would be no excitement there. But when I can jump from a plane and I have to save my own life between the time I jump out of that plane at 15,000 feet and the ground, that's what makes it exciting. You know what I mean? Because I like that risk, that nerve, that's what makes it exciting, and that's the way life is. You have to throw yourself off the cliff in order to live and to feel alive. And I feel like that's kind of the same for fighting, and you obviously feel that way with wrestling too. But that's how you get those amazing victories. And when you see these guys just in tears when they win, and they're just freaking out, and like they look so happy. Those were the most nervous guys ever walking into that octagon because they're so happy that they won, which means they most likely thought that they had a very small chance of winning that fight, and they were terrified that was going to be the case, So it's cool talking to you like that, man. Like I love it. I love it so much, man. It's so familiar and obviously not to your level, but just in my small little realm of things that I've done competitively. But it's so good to hear, man. I think other people are going to really take inspiration out of that as well.
Definitely, man. It is awesome to talk with you and just to hear your mindset on things. And I mean, skydiving, that's like one of my ultimate fears right there. So maybe one day if I can overcome that, I'll have to jump in the plane with you. Cause I mean, I love what you said though, about throwing yourself off the cliff, and the way I say it is like you step outside your comfort zone, you find your edge, what's your edge. And when you embrace that, when you push through, that's what makes it so special.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but it's like, those matches when I was like extremely nervous, especially like my finals match, it's like when I finally win, when I get my arm raised, it's like, I don't feel the pain, from wrestling 4 or 5 matches to get there. I don't feel the bruises and the cuts and everything. I don't feel tired anymore. Yeah, my lungs are burning, but all I feel is just that sense of joy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm taking a breath for the first time. Like I reached this goal, and it's like for that moment right there, it's like nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it special, is just getting through that discomfort, those nervous times. Going over the edge.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's so awesome. And that's so good, man. I love talking about that. And it's so cool to know that like someone of your level and pedigree has felt that same way, man. That's really cool. And you talked about the coronavirus earlier. How has that taken effect on you? Like, what are your thoughts on this entire pandemic and coronavirus, and how is it affecting wrestling? Obviously, UFC has found a way to continue competing and stuff. I guess it's a two-part question. What do you think about the whole thing? And then how is it affecting wrestling, competitive wrestling right now?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it's crazy, man. Because I remember, we were in March, we were getting ready for the national tournament. And then, we were hearing little things about COVID, but then all of a sudden it was just like, bam, it's here, and everything just shut down. And saw these numbers spiking. And, the way I look at it, it's like, there's all these sides like, wearing masks, whatever. It's like, man, if we can do anything just to curb this thing, just to get rid of it, to minimize the deaths, because even one death isn't acceptable.
Yeah.
It might just seem like a statistic for us, but that's because we're not losing the loved ones.
Right.
And so like for me, it's like, hey, if I got to wear a mask going out, I'm fine with it. Whatever, social distance, fine. I would hate for that to be my loved one on that statistic.
Yeah.
And so I'm just praying that, people can stay safe out there. We can find this vaccine and whatever the therapeutics they're talking about soon, so we can start getting back to normal. But for sports and for wrestling, it's hit it pretty hard so far. I know, like I said, we were getting ready for nationals in March when everything went on lockdown out here in the U.S. And nationals this past year was actually going to be on a big stage for wrestling. We were going to be doing it in Minnesota, where the Vikings play, the Minnesota Vikings football team at the U.S. Bank Stadium. That was going to be a huge platform for wrestling, and so that unfortunately got canceled.
Right.
I know right now, they're saying that football, that those seasons aren't going to be going through. I think Big Ten and Pac-12 said they're not playing. It's looking like wrestling is going to get pushed back, at least pushed back. So we'll see, because what makes it scary is the smaller programs, the smaller sports like wrestling and some others, they really rely on that revenue of the big sports like football, to help pave their way and pay. So without the football seasons, we're afraid that some wrestling programs might get cut.
Yeah.
Because of funding and budget and things like that. And so that's a scary reality that, we'll see what happens. I know there are some programs right now that are kind of in danger. I know Stanford Wrestling, they're dealing with right now. And, the wrestling community has really, stepped behind them and around them to support Stanford Wrestling. And we're hoping, we can keep them, because they're a long traditioned wrestling program. They do a lot for the Pac-12. I love the coaches there, that the guys are awesome. And it's just something that, we're trying to really adapt and overcome now, is keep these wrestling programs, don't allow them to get cut, and just, move through this COVID situation. And, it's been crazy, for sports, for everybody, but it's all about just trying to figure it out now, right? It's like, we can't go back, now it's all about moving forward and what's the best way to do that. And, how do we overcome this? And I'm praying and I believe that we will overcome it. It's just, it's a matter of time. We just have to make some adjustments here.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I can't wait for this to be over with. It's so depressing, but like life, it's a roller coaster too. And like, I think with this low, there'll be a high after, hopefully, and we'll get some good positivity after this, and some good things will happen, hopefully. Do you travel much? Like, have you been to Thailand before?
Actually, I've never been to Thailand. I would love to go sometime. I know I travel quite a bit in the States. I've been to all 50 states now. And then outside, I've been to Jamaica and Japan. And that's it so far. So I definitely want to get overseas more.
Man, I would love for you to come out here to AK Thailand and try to get you to give us a speech and give some inspiration to some of my guys out here. And I can show you the islands. And it's a beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful place. It's relaxing. It's no stress, good food, beautiful animals, beautiful beaches, beautiful islands. So, man, if you ever have time and get a chance, come out here to Phuket, brother, and I'll take care of you and give you a great trip.
Definitely, man. I'll definitely look you up. I'd love to get out there. It's like it was 118 in Arizona this past week, so I'm tired of desert. I would love to see a beautiful beach sometime.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I can imagine living there and not having one. But listen, man, I'll let you go. But, dude, I really appreciate you taking time out for me, man. This has been a super inspiring podcast. I was really looking forward to this. I hope I did a good job in having a podcast with you, man. Like, it means a lot to me for you to come on, and I can't wait to see your movie. I can't wait to see more about your life and see the new Guinness records you're going to break in the future with your 100-pound pack. And I know you're just going to keep going. And I know you're still mad about the 38 with the 40-pound pack. So I know you're running up the stairs like crazy, jumping on the pull-up bar to try to beat that. But I really appreciate your time, man, and doing the podcast with me and sharing so much inspiration I think that a lot of people is going to take from.
My pleasure, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on, and just for the opportunity to share and just kind of go back and forth with you, man. It was an honor to be able to hear about your mindset and how you approach things. It's definitely inspiring. So you definitely gave me something to be fired up about for the rest of this week. So thank you.
Likewise, man. I'm on a high note then. If I did something that you can say is inspiring to you, so man, you made my day, man. I appreciate it so much. We'll stay in touch, man, and I'll definitely I want to follow up with you when the movie comes out, and we'll when we can talk more about it and give more details. I know you're going to be wrestling in it, and you're going to be doing a lot of stuff like that. So I'd love to follow up with you and do another podcast when it gets closer to time, when this COVID's over and they start filming.
Absolutely, man. Definitely count me in for sure.
All right, brother. Take care. Hey, stay safe, okay?
You as well. Have a good one.
All right, take care, brother. Well, there we have it. Anthony Robles, such an inspiring podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. I did. I absolutely loved having this conversation, if you can't tell. Wow, man. It's so incredible talking to him. I have known about him for a long time. I've seen a lot of stuff that he's done, and to have a conversation over an hour like we did today was incredible. And like I said, I hope you guys took from it. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what part was the most inspirational to you. What I mean, the guy's so inspirational. What is it that you like the most? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Check out the clip site where we have all the clips. It's in the descriptions in our bio. If you're on the audio platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, you can leave us a review. You can subscribe there as well. I appreciate the support. We do read the comments. We try to get back to you guys. We love the fact that we're growing as fast as we are. We're doing an enormous amount of podcasts, guys. I am putting in so much time, getting as many guests as I can that have interesting stories like this. I said it last time, but this time as well. Since July 29th, we've done Bruce Buffer, Tyron Woodley, Daniel Cormier, Brad Slater, Stefan Bonner, Javier Mendez, and now Anthony Robles. I think that's 7. That's 7 podcasts in 2 weeks. So I'm going to keep them going. I love doing this. I hope you're enjoying them. Please subscribe. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you next time.